Spokane is a beautiful gem of the Pacific Northwest, consistently recognized as a best place to visit, live, or retire. And Spokane is definitely not dying. But Spokane does have some serious problems that need to be addressed. In this short video, we will address those problems head-on. We will also look at a city nearly identical to Spokane, but one that has very few of the problems we currently face. And finally, we will offer 4 solutions that can solve the problems we face and keep our city safe and beautiful. To be clear, this is a video about crime, not about homelessness. The fact is, our low-income and homeless populations are most vulnerable, and often the victims of crime. Spokane is a very compassionate city, equipped with many resources to help those in need who seek such help. We must remain compassionate, but we must also address our problems.
There's a degree of discomfort that is coming now with walking around downtown.
What the hell's wrong with these people?
This is no longer like a meth or a heroin problem. It seems like these people become out of their mind, and they're the people you will literally cross the road to avoid, because that's just how scary they are.
I wouldn't come back down at night, and I used to love to hang down here in the evenings with friends, maybe go grab a bite to eat, but it's really getting where people are afraid.
Wednesday nights is our worst night around here. They get their food and then they all hang out and they leave their trash and whatever they may be doing. It's just a never-ending process with us having to clean up.
Just in the alley that people are parking in, we've had 3 of the cars have been broken in. We've actually had some license plates stolen off the car.
We have called the ambassadors. They kind of have their hands tied. We try to call the cops. They say they can't do anything, which I don't understand because it's illegal to do those things.
I've seen some people on drugs and everything else, and I can definitely tell you that it's probably getting a little worse than it is getting better.
We drive by the parks that are meant for families and kids, be outside, experience kind of nature and get away from the city, and it's filled with transient people who are covered in needles.
I've seen one guy just right next to me, one time just pull out a needle and just start shooting,
Commercial burglaries are up by 92% when you compare this year so far to last year at this time.
I've got a lot of clients in the surrounding area. They won't come downtown because they don't feel safe.
Screaming and yelling, I don't know what's going on. It kind of scares the crap out of me, because I'm okay, I'm alone in my apartment, I don't know what to do in regards to this.
The ladies that work with me, they're kind of a little bit nervous and scared to get out their cars.
I've worked downtown for quite a few years, and I've always just felt kind of sketched out to walk to my car and walk back from my car.
Some people, kind of suspect, and I hate to use that word because you just never know, but you could tell that they might have some issues and stuff, and they're kind of nervous about it. So it definitely is a big problem.
A lot of them that are on meth, kids asking questions, why is this guy, acting crazy, and which they do, and they're taking their shirts off, they're throwing things.
Spokane's downtown business owners, employees, residents, and shoppers have all been feeling the physical effects of a new wave of criminal activity downtown.
We had a 20-something-year-old break the windows out of our building at First and Howard with a battle axe. Aggressive panhandling is much more prevalent. People that, when you tell them no, then they're following you and harassing you and wanting to make it more of a physical confrontation than it needs to be or should be.
Drug use. We have an antifreeze container in the back of our building that was full of needles. Just incredible situation.
Yeah, they like to defecate all back here.
We're standing in just a urine area.
Imagine driving up to work and this is what you deal with.
It's just horrible. It's not just urine, it's feces of every kind. There's vomit, there's everything.
Spokane has one of the nation's highest property crime rates. Our property crime rate is now greater than San Francisco's, Portland's, and even Seattle's. Spokane's property crime rate is 3 times greater than Boise's, and more than 5 times the property crime rate of New York City. Today, downtown business owners continue to deal with an influx of crime, which is also leading many investors to consider other options.
Our lease is up about halfway through next year, 2020, and we're trying to decide if we're going to stay downtown or if we're going to move out.
When it comes to, investing in downtown major projects, I kind of feel like taking a pause. We're looking at a couple deals, but I almost feel like taking a pause and waiting to see how the election turns out and see if there's any political will behind, at least recognizing what the problem is.
Spokane and Boise have been comparable cities for decades. Spokane is situated on Interstate 90 between Seattle and Minneapolis, while Boise is positioned on Interstate 84 between Portland and Salt Lake City. They are both college towns and sit at the base of the mountains. Spokane and Boise's population sizes are very similar. Demographically, the cities are nearly identical. According to the 2017 census, both are roughly 80% white, with Hispanic, Asian, Native American, and African Americans making up roughly the same portions of the population. Spokane and Boise also have roughly the same percentage of high school graduates and veterans. Spokane and Boise also face the same drug challenges. In 2017, they had similar drug-related death totals. This includes meth, heroin, and cocaine. But there are important differences to point out. Boise's crime rate is significantly lower than Spokane's. 2018 incident-based report data shows that both property crime and violent crimes are substantially lower in Boise. Homeless numbers are also very different. 2019 point-in-time data shows us that Boise has significantly less homeless. This winter, when the counts were made, Boise had 61 unsheltered homeless residents, compared to Spokane's 315. To summarize, Boise and Spokane are comparable in nearly every demographic, except for crime. And Boise has significantly less.
I don't think about crime at all with our location. Wise enough, we lock the doors, we don't have alarms. We're more afraid of cyber activity.
Really the only problems we've had in the bar have been graffiti. Nothing too substantial as far as crime goes.
I have very, very little crime in our garages. Once about every 3 years, we have an issue with people forgetting to lock their cars and people walking through garages occasionally, and usually when we identify that, we work with the police department and we are able to nip that at the bud.
So how can we address the crime problems we face? Here are 4 solutions to consider. Number 1, build a new and larger Spokane County Jail. Number 2, police should be walking the streets downtown and enforcing our laws, including the misdemeanors. Number 3, sell the SDA downtown bus station and move the transit station underground. And number 4, develop urban parking solutions. First is the current Spokane County Jail problem. In Boise, the county jail holds just over 1,200 inmates. Between the downtown and Geiger facilities, Spokane County can hold only around 950 inmates. But of those, the Spokane jail currently houses between 100 and 110 federal inmates, which means less room for inmates who commit crimes in our city neighborhoods, including downtown. That means Boise has up to 40% more local jail capacity than Spokane.
Yeah, we're over capacity in many areas, and we've been struggling with overcrowding for well over, 10 to 12 years. So yes, it's at capacity plus.
Our current jail is full, and misdemeanor crimes are getting released quickly because of court mandates. Many non-mandatory misdemeanor offenders are released within hours. Spokane police candidly report that they are demoralized by the revolving door of our jail. Both adult and juvenile reoffenders end up back on the street, frustrating business owners and employees. In fact, many of the shop owners, employees, and security guards we talked to declined to go on record because they were afraid of potential retaliation from these criminals.
Police say Dennis Schultz tried to assault a park employee. That's when police found out he had a few outstanding warrants for his arrest. So Schultz was booked into Spokane County Jail, but he's released about 3.5 hours later. That's because his warrants were for misdemeanors like trespassing, and they weren't serious or violent enough to keep him in jail. Once Schultz walked out, police were called to the Northeast Community Center around 2 in the afternoon. Employees there told police Schultz was holding a 4-foot metal rod staring at people. So police say security officers disarmed him, but not before the 71-year-old hit and injured an employee.
Approving a new jail and treatment facility outside of the downtown core is essential to solving crime downtown. Spokane business owners want and need more police on foot downtown. Spokane citizens also need and deserve police on the streets stopping all crimes, including misdemeanors.
If you go to New York, there's a cop on every corner, it seems like, and they talk to you and they'll point out good restaurants and where the theaters are.
Back in Boston, we knew the cops that were assigned to our areas. They would stop, say hi. We really noticed that that is not present in Spokane.
The solution is not simply to add more police downtown. Boise employs roughly the same number of officers as Spokane. The solution is in how they are policing.
There is definitely a police presence, and I think it's turning to a good presence. Walking the beat and knowing your neighbors and your community, that is a good thing, and I see the police officers in downtown Boise doing that. I feel safe, and I think a lot of patrons downtown feel safe because of that.
And a lot of it is based on community and relationship building. So it's not just responding to issues as they arise, it's being proactive and ensuring that we have a relationship between our police department and our community, including businesses and neighborhoods.
Sean Nemec is a retired police officer. He also served briefly as the chief of security at the Spokane Transit Authority in early 2019.
They have to be doing enforcement. And that means the minor nuisance laws and the important ones, all of them. If the crime is allowed to go, to me, you're butting your head against the wall.
Next, we must address the STA bus station downtown. It is a public space, and many people say they avoid it because of crime. In the first half of this year alone, the STA downtown bus station made more than 640 calls of service to law enforcement. This is more than any other location in the city.
I won't shop in the STA Plaza. In fact, we had out-of-town guests that were doing a seminar, and I walked him 4 or 5 blocks around the area just to get him back to his hotel at the Davenport Hotel. I didn't want to expose him to that.
There's fights and arguments and you name it, and so it is a problem area.
In Boise, they too had a challenge with their public transit system. While it wasn't a crime problem, it was a location problem. They partnered with a developer and moved their transit station underground. Boise's underground bus station is a safe and clean environment. While Boise's public transit system may be smaller than Spokane's, large cities like Denver have also recently built underground bus terminals that positively impact the city with a safe and clean transit system like Boise's. Parking is also a problem in downtown Spokane. A better parking system will attract more visitors downtown. More visitors downtown will put pressure on the criminals to leave. We must develop a better urban parking plan. Again, Boise has a good model to follow. Its layered parking system encourages visitors downtown. The city of Boise owns and controls several parking garages that provide 1 hour of free parking. In addition, they provide 20 minutes of free parking at on-street meters. Meter pricing is based on 3 zones. Each zone affects pricing. In Spokane, people say parking downtown is a challenge.
Parking's always been an issue in downtown Spokane, and one of the reasons we lose businesses from downtown out to the other areas in the periphery of downtown is that there's free parking and lots of parking.
In Spokane, the parking system has no universal rate, nor a free time allotment. According to a recent city parking study, the use of the spaces downtown is inefficient. At peak, thousands of parking spaces are underutilized. The most convenient spaces are underpriced, and visitors often get parking violations.
A lot of people say, I hate parking down here. I hate coming down here because every time I come down here, I get a parking violation. But that's not right. That is not right. It's not right.
Many downtown residents, business owners, and visitors believe this problem can be solved through a more strategic plan.
What's your biggest challenge as a downtown Spokane business?
The crime that's developing now, and trying to bring in my clients from downtown. We got parking issues, we got crime issues, we got a blight on the downtown because of the drugs and the crime that's going on.
Spokane, it's time to make some important decisions.
Downtown is your highest tax base, so if you talk about fire and municipal services and police, you need to have a vibrant downtown to support the city economically. Your downtown truly is the heart of your city.
Many feel that the city and its leadership must address 4 issues to solve the crime downtown. Spokane County Commissioners and the City of Spokane must step up and allow citizens to decide soon on a new jail and treatment facility. The city police must enforce misdemeanor laws and enact a proactive policing strategy downtown. The city must follow the design of Boise, Denver, and other successful downtowns. Sell the downtown bus station and build a bus transfer station underground. Finally, the city must create and implement a more strategic parking plan that encourages visitors downtown.
There are solutions out there, and we as a community need to work together.
It's just a town where everybody cares.
This is a great city. This is a great city.
Spokane is one of America's most beautiful cities. We must solve the crime in our downtown while always showing compassion for those who are homeless and vulnerable. We have come to the point where we must make a decision. We can solve our current problems, and we can keep our city safe, revitalized, and desirable to future investment, residents, and visitors. This project was funded by Larry Stone, a local citizen who grew up here and cares deeply about Spokane.